Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Truth Seekers. We're here today, joined by, as always, Coach Josh, me, Coach Nick, and Chris Davies. Happens to be my brother. Welcome.
Hello, how you doing? Thanks for having me, guys.
Great. Yeah,
Absolutely.
good. Today, we bounce around a lot of different topics today, and what I really wanted to talk about today as a starting point is business, just business overall. Oftentimes we're talking about more esoteric type things and go down the line of where that might take us. And it's always a lot of fun to do that. I thought we'd start with business. We're all business owners here. And I think that the thought process for me here was that we tend to think about business overall as something very specific, but really we're all in the business of our life. Like we're all in the business of creating the best version of us, like best relationships for us, like everything that's out there. So I just wanted to kind of start from that point of view and get your thoughts on this, Coach. Like when you hear business, what does that mean to you?
A knee-jerk reaction to resist the commoditizing of myself or of people. But I think you're right in the sense that it's kind of like the one we did on sales, where we're constantly selling ourselves, or trying to work together with people to achieve a common goal. If I think about business, yeah, there's it's getting what we want, I guess. Like we're creating value for other people to get what we want, and in turn they get what they want too. So it's that two-way street. Business is that two-way street of people getting what they want.
What are your thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, I guess that's the obvious meaning of it, right? It's a two-way street, like Josh is saying. But for me, probably when I think of business first, from personally, it's more about me. Actually, before adding value. So for me, it'd be, as you know, like, I always want to do my own thing, and it allows me the freedom not to be, like Josh touched on it, commoditized by someone else. And then obviously to do that, you need to find a way to bring value to people that enables you to make that happen. So yeah, I wouldn't, if someone said business straight away, I wouldn't be buying and selling things, service or products. It would be about me, and then the other part would be sort of secondary.
I want to, like, this is powerful, right? Because like it's easy to think about, okay, all about adding value, adding value, adding value, adding value, and we know that's true. We know that we need to add value in order to get value back. But it doesn't mean we can't think about business as, like you said, brother. You said business equals freedom, basically, right? It's like that's how you think about it. For you, it's that's what I need to feel like I'm doing my own thing, to feel like that I can bring value to others. It's like that's
Yeah,
me bringing value to myself, and then in order to
exactly.
make that sustainable, what I have to do is bring value to others. And I think I want to. This is the maybe subtle distinction I want to make here, because it's easy for us to think about business as just bringing value to others. All I'm doing here is bringing value to others, bringing value to others. But it's all right to think about and realize that it's bringing value to you as well, because it's easy
Yeah,
to like not focus on that, right? Like it's like almost a bad thing to do if you focus on bringing value to yourself.
yeah, and I think if you pretend that you're not, then you're lying anyway. Like
Okay.
we're all here running our own times, doing whatever we want to do. um, and we've put ourselves in a position to make that happen. And we obviously want that to happen. So you have to add value to yourself, or see yourself that you need value before you can make other stuff happen. For sure.
I'd like to break down the term adding value more, because we use it a lot, but what does that mean? Is it experiencing joy? Is it calming pain? Is it achieving success? Like I think maybe that could mean different things to different people in all sorts of different situations. And I love the concept, if you own a business or you run a business or are part of a business, what is your mission, your vision, your values? Like what is it all in the name of? And I think it starts there, because then your pursuit of business development or gaining more business is attached to the purpose as a business. So are you looking, are you an entertainment company looking to add value, or in that term, give joy to other people? Are you a doctor's office that, you're looking to heal pain? That compass of a mission, vision, values as a company directs everything that you do, and everybody in the business that has a role in it.
Yeah, that's a really good question. My to add value to myself, my own life, it's always been nickel too, because we used to talk about it a lot. Is time. I always use this as an example quite a lot as well. That I live here in London, and if I want to go and spend a month with Nick or 2 months, wherever it may be, I want to be able to do that without having to ask permission or worry about not having to leave.
That's that freedom.
Freedom, yeah, for sure.
Back to that again,
yeah. And I would say financial as well, but it's more about the freedom. You see, you can't control the financial stuff so much, but you can manage the time more. And I sell coffee, so I'm able to run my coffee shop and only be there probably 20% of the time now, and actually be in the operation.
Great.
So yeah, so I'm achieving the time improvement so far, but not to the point where I'd like it to be. But yeah, for me, it's all about adding value to myself with time, freedom, and then to my customers with great coffee.
And what else, if I can push a little bit on that, Chris? So you're giving them coffee as the product, but what else is attached to that?
So I sell specialty Colombian coffee. So the difference is with us, I guess, that the people that actually bring it into the country here are Colombian. The people that roast it are Colombian. We got the whole backstory. We can take it to every individual farm. There's an actual real relationship with the farm as well. We could physically go there and talk to them. And that just gets passed on. So we share that in the shop. People know that. They can ask questions. We have like 50 different types of coffee that we can sell to them. Not in the shop actually, but this is available in the roastery. That's why, and it's a small business. There's myself, my partner Carlos, who roasts the coffee, and his wife, who also roasts. So people like that. People like the small business and back us as opposed to the bigger places. Yeah, so I guess we add a lot of value as well with the personality side of stuff. Most people can walk in the shop, we know what they want just before they walk in, before they even speak. So obviously you don't find that as much as in big places like Starbucks.
Yeah.
Which is nice, and I guess the tricky part will be to manage it as we grow, to try and keep that the same.
Yeah, there's so much there, right? Besides the product, it's almost like the experience of, the roasting, right? And then all the way. So there's like a story of what you're delivering, and then they consume it. And while they're consuming it, they're with their friends or their family. You're creating experiences that way too, Coach.
Exactly.
We talk about building great businesses or magnifying that success. How much of that is a part of that?
That's the word. Yeah, that's the word that I wrote down as experience, because that's exactly what it is. That you're creating experience, and then you're creating references as well. So it means you're creating like emotional anchors almost, like in these people. That's why when you smell coffee, because olfactory like smell is like one of the biggest triggers of emotions. That's why you smell coffee, like ooh, and so yeah, probably. So you can link those together, and then you experience that with other people. You said magnify, Josh. Absolutely. Like we share things with other people because we want to magnify the experience. You create, okay, well, here's the product. It's just the vehicle, but the value creation is a high level experience, right? And so if you're nailing down on the people you're serving, it's like people that want an experience of understanding the journey of where their coffee comes from, the experience of sharing that, being part of this, part of this brand, and do that with your friends and family, then this is the right place for you. And the coffee's great.
Yeah, it's got to be a circle, really, isn't it? You've got to have the quality products, the consistency, the story to bring people back, and then that magnifies, and then they tell their friends, then I can open another shop, and I guess it's a circle of wellness. I don't know what you call it. Call it good stuff.
Circle of beans.
Yeah.
No, well, it is the circle of wellness, and like back to the business part of it. Like, let's not be afraid to call it what it is, right? Let's not be afraid to like not admit that it's like that's the business model, right? It's okay to do all that stuff. Everything about that cycle is all genuine, right? It's like, yeah, we want to add value to ourselves and make money from it. Yeah, we want to enjoy the experience and have the time, and yeah, we want to serve people that same experience as well. And if we do that right, it will be a cycle. Otherwise, the loop gets broken.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a similar thought in my mind with genuineness. That's a word, right? Genuineness.
If you like, yeah.
Yeah, we're going with it. But yeah, it's all real. It's all like you're in it for a purpose, Chris, right? And that was well defined, the freedom, but also you're delivering something of value to people. So I'm wondering, in that cycle of business, in your experience, how long have you been running?
Well, technically 5 years,
Okay.
but only really. So like I started off as a part-time project
Yeah.
in 2015. Started operating in 2016, again like part-time, from a coffee van actually. And then same for 2017 and 2018, run a pop-up for 6 or 7 months, and then moved on to the actual premises where I'm at now. So I guess probably it's only really 2.5 years. But yeah, I mean, on paper, if you look up, it'd be 5 years.
And so what did you notice, or what was the biggest point where it's like, oh, like this is taking off. We gotta, implement some structure or adjust a couple things or tweak something like that. What was the breaking point? That's not a good term.
Well,
What was the top of
yeah,
the
no,
mountain?
it was actually, it was funny. So when I had the van, I still had the van, but don't really use it so much. Used to do markets here in London, and then they do really, really well. Sell a ton of coffee, make a ton of cash. But they'd only be for weekends, so it wasn't really something you could live on. And then when I did a pop-up, for me it was like, okay, I know how much money I can make in a day at a market. If I do half of that throughout the week, then over the month I'm fine. It won't make me millions, but it'll start. I can sustain myself. And actually, the pop-up didn't work at all. It was in a restaurant, inside of a restaurant on a street that wasn't busy enough, turns out, we thought it would be. So it's only really where I got to the place where I'm at now. I still trusted it because I knew what you could do for the markets. So I lost loads of money that year. Then towards the end of that year, beginning of the year after, which was 2019, I found the place I'm at now, and the product's always been the same. And I know it's good. Everyone who drinks it tells me it's good. So I relied heavily on that. Just went sort of blind into it and started to work. My location now is right next to a metro station. So it's really busy from like 6:30 in the morning. But I guess there wasn't a point recently where it was like the turning point. It was back then a couple of years ago, and I knew that you could make money from it. And it just like that gave me the faith to continue it, really.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of talking here, so I'll turn this over to Nick in a second. But I like the concept of like the vision is developing as you're going. Like I just heard it in your terminology when you started. Like, we started part-time, it was this, it was that, and then it was like, oh, I did well on the weekend, or was doing well on weekends, and determined that I could do this in the middle of the week, and I only had to do this a certain number of days to sustain myself for the month. And then all of a sudden, started blossoming and could do this, and then lost some money, fell on some hardships, but still had the vision. There was still some sort of pull there to keep going, and now it's blossomed into what it is today. So it's that value that Nick and I always talk about, like taking the action, because you will inevitably gain new perspective once you're on top of that peak. And it might not be the mountaintop, but you can see so much more clearly where you want to go after that. And then it's just a progressive realization of that goal.
Yeah, it's spot on, Josh. Like, so I left in between all of that. I left my full-time job I had to do the pop-up, and then once I left the job, it was like weight off my shoulders. It was like it let me think, let me sort of be who I wanted to be, and it's run with it. And then anything's possible now. It doesn't matter. Like there's no fear.
Oh, that's so great. I mean, I'm inspired by just hearing that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
There's so many lessons to take away from that, right?
Yeah, I mean, you hear it with some people, I don't leave my job, I'm scared. I mean, obviously you don't want to be living on the street, but most people think hold themselves back because they're worried that they're not making enough money. But
there's no certainty with it. That's what it is. There's no certainty. Yeah.
Yeah, they get stuck in the they're thinking that they have to earn the exact same salary that they're in now, and most of the time people find that they can probably live on half of that if they're willing to start, but they're just too scared to jump.
Nick
but once you do jump,
Go ahead.
Just to say that in my view, it's just everything's easier.
Yeah. Well,
Just
Nick has a thing with comfort level. This is a good. Go ahead. Unleash.
I had a
Comfort zone.
client. I had a client say to me that last week that he's leaving his well-paid medical job to start his own business in the medical field, and he had this realization last week that because a bunch of people got laid off in the big company he works for, like he's fine, doing great. But he had this realization. He said, "Look, there's actually less stability in a full-time job than there is for me starting my own business." I said,
Yep.
you've got to write this down and realize this and look at this thing every single day, because that realization has just locked you into success. He's got nowhere else to go but forward. He's like, where I am right now, there's not more stability here, because that fear Chris talking about, people don't want to jump because they're like, well, what if it gets worse? What if I can't do it? He's like, look, it's actually less stable here, so I need to go as quick as I can to this other place, which I've got no idea what's going to happen, but at least I'm in charge of that. Like the upside's all on me. Here, it's just out of my control. It's like, well, maybe the company goes under, or they just decide to cut 10% of employees. Like whether I'm doing great or not, it doesn't really matter. It's out of my control. There's less stability here than there is starting a brand new business and just throwing a lot of cash at it. Like that's the most important for him, because you can't go anywhere else like apart from forward. He rigged the game to win.
I'd be more scared to rely on someone else to pay me than opposite of what they think. Than to fall down a hole or something. That's more terrifying to me. Can you leave it to somebody else's hands to make sure you get paid? Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it?
There you go. That's the quote. That's what I'm taking away. How can you leave it to someone else's
hand to make sure you get paid?
I like that. I think most people are familiar with Jim Carrey had a commencement speech at one of the colleges. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this video, but he says, his father failed at like a safe job. He was an accountant, but he never pursued his career as a comedian. And he said, I'd rather fail at something I'd love to do than fail at something that is safe. And I think what the takeaway for that is, like, the ceiling's higher too, pursuing something that that you should be pursuing instead of the safe route. Like the ceiling is right there, and that's where the comfort zone is. And that comfort zone, you're way out of the comfort zone taking that leap, as you say, Chris, but that ceiling is like, it's not even in the picture, it's in the sky somewhere. And maybe there isn't even a ceiling. Like, how high can you go? And that excites me, and I think that excites a lot of people, but it's that fear of that uncertainty that prevents them from doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's again spot on, because back in the day when Nick used to work doing other stuff and we were a lot younger, before I started my business, I'd always wanted to do something. And he used to talk about you could earn X amount in the city, in London, which would be a lot, as it is in all cities in a financial career. But it's always, like you said, there's always a ceiling to it, and you're only ever going to get paid what somebody else wants to pay you. And I always used to say that. I don't know if Nick remembers, but and like next month, I'm not, same as everyone. Right? We're not all of us. We're not guaranteed anything. But you said there's no limit on the ceiling. So that is the exciting part, because there's no. It's just so exciting. There's no stop. You can do what you want.
Yeah.
At least I want to play a game that I actually want to win. Like I want to play the game. So if I win at a game I don't want to play, then it's still not successful. It's like I've still lost. Yeah, and it took me 20 years of working in banking to figure that out. Quite frankly.
Yeah, and just to tie that in a knot, like who can pay you? Your employer can pay you at the safe job, but with your business, especially if you have some sort of means to ship it, your coffee beans to people or whatever. We're approaching 8 billion in population. Think of that as the ceiling right there.
Yeah,
right, it's like 90% of those drink 19 cups of coffee a day. So yeah. So takeaways. Let's wrap it up. Like business equals freedom. Doing my own thing. Value for me first, because once you just understand the value for you, you can understand what value you can bring for others, and it's a circle. It's a cycle altogether. And then for me, like, how can you live in someone else's hands to make sure you want to get paid?
I want to add one more thing, because I think there's some element of personal growth along that path.
Yeah.
Where that uncomfortability, when you take that leap and you're in that zone of uncertainty, man, you learn a lot about yourself, your fears, your anxieties, why they're there. And inevitably you have to overcome them to get to where you want to be. Like Chris said, it's just, it's exhilarating. You feel like you can do anything after that. And that's the payoff right there. Business is great. Money's great. The payoff is that feeling of invincibility.
Yeah, because if we come back to that comfort zone, it's like you're in a box that you're working in. It's like that's all the comfort zone, and all you can see is like the edges of the box. It's just like, okay, yeah, if I just did everything that I think I could do, then I might get to the edge of my box. But it's only like there. It's only that little bit of place in front of us. But you've got to get out of that fog because everything's possible once you do that, and then you get much more compelled to do it because you can see the upside. Like if your scale goes from 1 to 5 and you're sitting at 4.8 and someone goes, hey, why aren't you doing more? You're like, well, I only got like 0.2 to go and I'm maxed out. But the reality is once you get to 5, then you'll see that your scale goes to 50 million.
Mm-hmm.
There's no limit there. But
Yeah, the more you do, the more you can do.
The more you do, the more you can do. Absolutely.
Love it. Awesome.
Chris, takeaways.
It's one more. So yeah, everything you said, Nick. But there's one more. If we're talking about encouraging people to do something, which it seems like we've somehow got a conversation onto that, or advising people, I'd say don't listen to too many people because there's always going to be negativity. Go with your gut, make it happen. Don't overthink it. Yeah, and you can always do more than you think you can.
Love it. Awesome stuff. Great way to sign it off. Appreciate everyone coming on today. Some absolute gems.
Absolutely. See you guys next week on Truth Seekers.
Yeah.